So, as of today, I am officially a debut author, soon to debut author. My book is up for pre-order. And yes, I am freaking out. I'm really freaking out, to be completely honest. Yeah. But I wanted to take some time today to sort of tell you about my book, kind of read through the blurb, show you some of the stuff that I have with it, just if you're curious and considering pre-ordering, or if you just want to know or want to hype with me, because I'm very excited. This is the video for you. And also, if you like this and think my book sounds interesting, I'm going to be sending out the first 2 chapters using BookFunnel to my newsletter subscribers and anyone who subscribes to my newsletter. So if you watch this video and you're like, hey, that sounds pretty cool, I want to read the first 2 chapters before I pre-order, subscribe to my newsletter, and there you go. You can do that. Obviously, with the caveat that it has not gone through the final proofreading yet, so there might be a couple tweaks, but in general, it's finalized. All right, so let's break this down. So I have a list and some text on my phone because I'm very much kind of freaking out. So I'm going to read a lot of this stuff to you, and I'll try and put things up on the screen where applicable. But I have a breakdown of the chapters that I'm going to include in this video with everything that you might want to know. All right, so first we are going to go over the title, the blurb, and the cover teaser. And then I'm going to share 2 reader reviews for my beta readers, because I think that really summarizes my book. I think they wrote really good reviews. And then we're going to go over the release date, where you can order, also when the cover reveal, ARC signups, all that will be. Then we're going to do an intro blurb to the world. I sort of wrote a real quick blurb that's just about the world that kind of leads up to the events in the book blurb. So I thought that would be cool, especially if you're into my world building. And then my main character, I have some character art, and that'll lead us into talking about some of the themes and messages and stuff with the book. And also some of the vibes and tone of the story, if you don't already get that from the reader reviews. Then we'll talk about what's next, so book 2, more stuff in the world, and then we'll talk about ways to support me / my book. And then we will get to a list of the tropes and themes, which I know some people dislike. Hey, Chris. But I know it's a big marketing thing right now, so I'm gonna share the ones that I put together and the ones my beta readers were I think these fit your book. Before we get started, I just want to say that having this community has been really amazing and has made this entire process so much better and so much more fun and joyful and more community-filled and less lonely. And has honestly given me so many avenues to meet people, connect with people, and sharing all of this has been really fun. So I just want to say thank you. I really don't want to feel like a car salesman right now with this. This isn't about me trying to sell my book. I don't want anyone to come away feeling pressured, I'm pushing you to buy my book or whatever. No pressure if it's not your thing, if you're not interested, just whatever. That's fine. Seriously, that's fine. No pressure. I'm just really excited, and I want to share my excitement with you, and maybe you are interested. I don't know. First, we are going to go over the blurb and the cover teaser, which is now up on my website. I've done a full website overhaul to match the book. And obviously it's on the various listings, Goodreads, Amazon, all the major retailers when that pre-order goes through, which it hasn't yet, but hopefully it has by the time you're watching this. But my debut book is Because the Beast Came, which is Wells of Istry Book 1 of a duology, so there will be a book 2 by Madeline James, which is me. And then my blurb, I'm going to pull up the Amazon listing and just read to you what's on that. All right, so the Amazon listing says, which I'll put up here for you to see. Perfect for fans of The Bridge Kingdom, A Curse So Dark and Lonely, The Serpent and the Wings of Night, and The Hurricane Wars. Because the Beast Came is a romantic fantasy full of aching tension, a brutal world of monsters and fragile hope, and a heroine torn between duty, desire, and survival. She's already broken, but this mission may be the thing that shatters her. The beast tore the kingdom apart, the gangs claimed what was left. Now the survivors cling to scattered settlements, struggling to hold their borders. Ariana, a young guardian, does everything she can from the shadows to keep her clan's outpost standing, but they're losing. Their only hope lies beyond the border, the magic of the meadow wells and the ruthless military gangs that control them. To save her family, Ariana must infiltrate a nearby brigade, earn their trust, and forge her magic in one of their wells. But surviving among liars and killers is harder than she expected. Their calculating leader sees her value when no one else can. A bitter soldier wants her gone but keeps saving her life. And the closer she gets to the brigade, the harder it is to keep her cracks from showing. She came to save her family. She didn't expect someone to try saving her. Because the Beast Came is the first book in a heart-clenching, romantic fantasy duology within the Wells of Istri world. I don't know. I'm sure I'm going to tweak it like 27 times before the book actually comes out, but that's essentially what I have on the back of the paperback, because that's all been finalized already. And the cover that's shown on the listings right now is obviously a teaser right now. The actual cover reveal, which is freaking gorgeous, by the way, won't be revealed until January. Both the teaser cover and the real cover, as well as the chapter headers, are illustrated by the very talented Yun, who I have linked on the webpage for the book. So if you want to check her out, she's amazing, very wonderful. But because The Beast Came is mainly an adult fantasy novel, very character-driven, focused on characters, but also action and adventure, has a good bit of high-paced action, romantic side plot, a lot of character struggles, trauma, growth, right, which we'll get into. And I will be doing a pre-order campaign at some point. Because did you know that as an indie, there's no way for me to see my pre-order numbers? Like, I don't think it goes through in Amazon until, I think, the day of release. And I don't think the, Ingram Sparks will show me until, a week before when it actually places those official, pre-order orders. So 7 months of having no idea what's going on. Yeah, we're definitely doing a pre-order campaign so I can get an idea of what's happening and build the hype. So if you pre-order, definitely sign up for the newsletter and hold on to your receipt. Okay, so 2 beta reader reviews. I asked my 2 most recent beta readers who read my, post all the main edits, version, if they'd write up a little review that they were okay with me sharing. And I thought I'd read them to you so you can get a bit of, reader reaction vibes. And I think these are really great. Thank you, Gil and Amanda. All right, so the first one. The world building in this book is so immersive, I feel I only scratched the surface of what it has to offer. Ariana's descent into enemy territory to save the community she's never been at home in is both emotionally and physically fraught. And speaking of emotions, the tension between her and the military's charismatic leader is only matched by her friction with his brother, a man who even the amoral soldiers are afraid of, who knows too many of her secrets. While I am a sucker for romantic tension, which this book has heaps of, and an action-packed fantasy adventure that this book delivers, it's Ariana's emotional journey as she wrangles the truth of her past that left me weeping. I'm so glad I wasn't in public reading this book because I was ugly crying through several chapters. This was a fun read that went by fast. There's a lot of questions early on that pulled me in and got me more invested as the story went on. The beasts are fascinating and seem beautiful even though they're incredibly dangerous. The villain is simultaneously very sexy and completely infuriating, and maybe even more dangerous than the beasts. There's an elemental magic system that feels unique and a society that's trying to rebuild post-collapse, and their struggles felt real. I was completely hooked while Ariana made a found family out of a gang of her sworn enemies, and then managed to find that her biological family, for all their mistakes, never really left her either. This book made me cry in public multiple times, and near the end I cried twice, in the same day, in the same Starbucks. 10 out of 10, highly recommend. I just think it's funny that the first one was so glad I didn't read this in public, and the second one is oh no, I read this in public. Consider that your warning. Okay, so release. So Because the Beast Came will be released on Thursday, April 9th, 2026, which is just 7 months away, and I will have the cover reveal in January when the book releases, and I'm actually going to have the cover artist come on the channel with me, and we're going to kind of show some of the different process shots of it and, talk about what it was like going through it. I'm going to show my cover, all the information I gave her to build the cover on. We're going to go through it all. It's going to be really fun. And then book 2 of the duology is going to go on pre-order before book 1 releases so that if you like book 1, you can pre-order book 2, right? which will be 6 months later in fall, so October, November of 2026. So they will both come out next year, the full duology. I will not have a hardcover or an audiobook to start. Hopefully I'll be able to add those eventually if the book starts making some money. But we will have a paperback that will be available wide. So Amazon, Barnes & Noble, other major retailers, including international retailers, basically everyone Ingram Sparks can distribute to, which includes libraries. It can be accessible to library distribution, and it is accessible for like indie bookstores and stuff to order through their main distributors. So obviously they probably won't all be carrying it by default, but you can request that they order it and carry it, and that would be okay. I am currently planning for the ebook to be exclusive on Amazon, so it's currently going to be enrolled in the Kindle Unlimited program. So if you have KU, you'll be able to read it for free. You can also just pre-order it now, which will allow you to get any like pre-order incentives that I end up doing. And you obviously don't need to be in KU to order it. It is kind of the best choice for my genre right now, and as a starting author, you get a lot of stuff by going that route. So even though I have issues with Amazon, that's the direction we're going to go in to start. All right, so the world / the history. Obviously, I am a really big world builder. Although this is a smaller scale setting focus, we're within, I guess we probably don't go in more than a couple 100 miles away from the main location, right? And there's a little bit of traveling. And so I wrote up a blurb for the world, sort of like the blurb for the book, just to kind of, because I can, and I like it. So here we go. Istri was once an isolated kingdom of unity and great magic, their greatest conflict being with the raiders who would sail along the coast and up the rivers to kidnap the people for their unique magic. Guardian clans were stationed along these cities to defend the Istrans. Their first duty was to the protection of their people, the second to their clan, and only third to the crown. Then 15 years ago, beasts appeared in Istri. Called the Daki, no one knew where they came from, but they ravaged the cities and the countryside, seeming to have little purpose beyond killing. These Daki were like great horned wolves, only stronger, more durable, and far more aggressive. The people of Istri had little ability to fight them off. Even the guardian clans and the military struggled. Hoping to spare themselves the same fate, the rest of the world shut Istri out, leaving them alone to their destruction, and it wasn't long before most of Istri was gone. It was the various elemental magics that the people of Istri could forge themselves with that offered salvation, the god's blood. This magic let them survive in the few places where they could be somewhat protected from the beasts. Up in the frozen mountains where only the fire-forged could survive the cold. In caves deep in the earth where only earth-forged could grow enough food. Spread out in the forests where water-forged magic could warn them of danger and time to hide in their tree villages. High in the peaks where the air-forged could survive the high altitude and move safely between mountains. But it was the metal-forged that turned out to have the best advantage. While man-made weapons did little to no damage to the Daki, and forgings of earth, fire, water, and air only did slightly better, metal forgings could kill the beasts. When the people of Istri retreated, forming their secluded settlements, the military was left to battle the beasts. Abandoned and left to die so the people had a chance, when the military discovered the advantage of their metal forgings, they capitalized on it. They took control of the metal wells, fought each other for the territory left behind, and then turned to the settlements for payment and tribute in exchange for their protection, becoming more like thugs than soldiers. The guardian clans of Istri had a different fate. Instead of being left to fight a losing war against the beasts, the clans brought the people to the settlements, guarding them as they retreated. They became the last line of defense between the beasts and the settlements guarding their borders. One such clan, the Cleasolds, guard the border of an air settlement. While the settlement itself existed high in the peaks, most of the farming happened in the mountain valleys below. The Cleasolds guard one of those valleys, keeping out the beasts day after day, month after month, year after year. Not all of the Cleasolds survive, but they hold their position and defend the wall. They have to sacrifice, make impossible choices, and mourn far too many kin. But the wall stands. Yet the Daki keep growing in number, seem to be learning, and the brigades demand more for what little protection and help they offer. Some persist better than others. Despite everything, the Clissold can doesn't look like it will hold their wall much longer. Which kind of leads us into, right, the blurb for the actual book. But yeah, so it's a, obviously, like, Slavic-inspired world. I created a Slavic-inspired naming language that is not an actual, like, Slavic language system that exists out there. It just follows a lot of the trends and patterns and feels like it could be one to give that sort of feel. The world itself is very, like, Siberia-inspired, not, like, the most northern reaches of Siberia, but there's some Siberia-inspired vibes. That's been a lot of, like, my climate inspiration. Like, you get, like, the taiga or the boreal forests. You get that, like, mountain effect going up in there. You get the really heavy winters, that more, like, northern or poleward, I guess, kind of feel to it. Yeah, and the book starts right after winter in mud season and then goes throughout the summer. And then the second book in the duology will cover the winter. And it's been very fun working with the weather for this and the seasons, because, like, I live on the East Coast where it is not polar at all, I think, at all. Obviously, like, it snows sometimes, but, like, that's what we get. So I've been enjoying that. All right, so the characters. And I think this will be unsurprising based off what you've already heard. Most of the characters in the book are relatively damaged, traumatized, not in the best place, right? Like, they've had to make really difficult choices to survive. They've been surrounded by a lot of, like, death and violence, and they're living with all of the choices that they've had to make, like, all the consequences of that, right? I will say the book isn't that dark. Like, it is definitely emotional, and it definitely is a bit dark, but it's definitely, like, nowhere close to grimdark, right? It doesn't have that level of, like, grittiness and, like, horror elements to it. Like, it's not that, right? But I definitely wouldn't say that it's lighthearted. It has a few moments, but moments, that's it. So, Because the Beast Came follows Iriana Clissolda, who is a guardian of the Clissold clan that we heard about. She is 19, so she is just old enough to remember what life was sort of like before the beasts. Obviously, she was pretty young. She was like 4 when the beast first showed up, and then in the few years following, as society collapsed. It does follow a trend of a lot of stories, right, where you have this main character, this female main character who has this super tragic backstory, is super closed off, maybe antisocial, more of a lone wolf. She's very competent, very self-sufficient, and a very good fighter, right? Like, that fits a lot of stories, especially some of the bigger ones in the fantasy genre. Something that was really important for me to do with Iriana is to not romanticize her past, right? I had a whole video out about this at some point, but, like, I don't like having or writing characters where they are all of these great and wonderful and capable things because someone abused them. It is very much not a romanticized tragic backstory. The character's not going to be like, wow, I'm so glad I went through all these horrible things because it's made me the person I am today. No. And I think you can really tell from chapter 1 just how much Iriana is hurting. And it is very emotional and very focused on her character journey, but I do think it's a little bit more, like, under the surface, like the specifics of it a lot of the time. But you can tell there's a lot of stuff she needs to heal from and get over. And, like, I had comments from some of my beta readers that was just like, okay, she really needs some therapy, which yes, she could use some therapy. But all she really wants is to keep her family together and to protect them, even though she isn't really capable of being around them, has a lot of resentment towards them. So her relationships with the head of her clan, which is her grandmother, with her sisters, and then the others in her family are very complicated. But when her family is essentially told they're going to lose her post and her family's going to essentially be broken up and distributed to other parts of the border, she wants nothing more to stop it. That's her sort of motivation going into the book. So when she gets this opportunity to essentially try to join or infiltrate the local brigade, she goes to try to save her family, even though it sort of feels like she is the last person that should be trying to do that. So we have poor Iriana, who really struggles being around people, letting people in, trusting people, right? Like, really is like, I'd rather do my own thing on my own, not worry about any of this, right? Has a lot of feelings that, like, she's too broken to not hurt other people and that, like, everyone she loves is better off without her in her life. Like, that's what she believes. So obviously needing to earn the trust of the brigade and earn her place there is fraught. So it's also the brigade of the people she hates. She doesn't trust any of them, thinks they're all evil, horrible people. So it's her also having to come to terms with the complication of this past that they've all lived through the last 15 years. And that, yeah, people have done difficult things to survive. People have made difficult choices, but, you know, there really isn't anyone that's completely innocent in this. Well, at the same time, there are definitely some people who are like, not good, right? So we get to see her trying to impress them. We get to see her making friends, realizing she might have feelings for someone. And we get to see the relationships with her family evolve and change throughout the book. Her relationship arc in the book with one of her sisters is one of my favorites. It's definitely has some of the more emotional scenes in it, but she definitely starts the book as a pretty flawed character. And so they have to come to terms with the decisions that she's made and really face the sense of, you know, feeling like she can't be with other people, feeling like no one could ever love her, feeling like there's something wrong with her that is unfixable, right? And so through these different relationships and friendships, she can see what her life could be like if she heals, right? What she could have if she can get past all of these things. But the thing that I also show her and show the reader is that what the path is she could go down if she doesn't, right? What does this life look like if she stays the way she is and doesn't grow and doesn't want to acknowledge, right, all of this pain and heal from it? Because it is hard to heal from it. It is hard to face all those things that you're terrified of and reach out for these things anyway, right? So I show both paths, right? And which one will she choose, right? But there's a romance. It is definitely a slow burn. Fits a lot of the enemies to lovers trope conventions. I know a lot of people are a little bit like about the enemies to lovers thing, but like, you'll see. It has a lot of angst and longing in it. Definitely eventually it is a slow burn. And I think it is actually probably more of a true enemies to lovers, given some of my betas couldn't tell who the love interest was for a while, versus like who the villain was. They're like, I don't know. So I think it's fun. But I think the reader reviews I read earlier really sum up, it is really Ariana's story. And it does have all these other things, stories of family, stories of romance, a lot of action adventure, but it's really Ariana's story of self-growth and healing at its core, right? And my whole inspiration for this book was that I really wanted to, both as a writer, really challenge myself to write something that was extremely character-driven and extremely just focused on the character and the people in their life and all of these complicated relationships and like nuanced relationships between them all and everything, right? So I took a few lessons that were very important for me learning growing up that helped me build Ariana as someone who desperately needs to learn these lessons and hasn't learned them yet, right? Hasn't healed and grown in the way that she needs to have the things that she really wants in life and live the life that she really wants to live. So that's sort of where Ariana came from. All right, so what's next? So I mentioned that Because the Beast Came is the first book in a duology. Both books will be out next year, but that is not going to be the end of the Wells of Istri. I do plan on coming back to this world and telling more stories, probably like short series, like maybe trilogies or duologies in different places as we move forward in history in this land. I feel like book 2 is really going to get into it. Once you've read the whole duology, you will kind of really see where all those paths are, where the story could be taken. But basically, I wanted to wrap up these characters' stories, their arcs, this thing that's happening, and then go and write some other projects that I have in the works, like my craft potion story. I want to write something in Pillar World, and then I can come back and like write another thing in the Wells of Istri. So I will reuse this world and this magic system and all the things that are going on in the next series in it will probably start right before the climax of book 2, just somewhere else with different people. So that's sort of the plan. All right, so ways to support me, right? Which, this is so awkward for me. I hope you know how awkward and uncomfortable I am, which is half of why I had to write all this on here, because I'm like, I'm just gonna panic and be like, I don't know what to say. But yeah, ways to support me. So obviously, if you want to pre-order, that would be great. I I can't say it wouldn't be, right? I don't want to push you. I already said it. It's fine. But so that would help. Adding the book to your want to reads on Goodreads will help with like visibility there. So that would be awesome if you want to go and just like click the button. I'll have it all linked. And then when the books are out, leaving reviews is really important for indie authors especially. So Amazon, Goodreads, anywhere that you buy the book. And also on Amazon, if you leave a review with a picture, it like is extra good. I don't know why. So like if you take a picture of the paperback or if you take a picture of like your e-reader with the book cover on it and are like, oh my God, I don't know, apparently that's a good thing. Obviously only honest reviews, please. All right, so and if you want to support me and this isn't the type of book you'd enjoy, maybe you could buy it for a friend or a family member that does read this kind of stuff, or just recommend it to them. And if you can't afford to buy the book, the ebook is free if you have Kindle Unlimited. And the paperback is available through Ingram Sparks, so libraries and bookstores should be able to order it. You need to request it though, so maybe check your local library, ask them to pre-order it so that you can check it out. I think most libraries have like a request place where you can request that they carry it. So go ahead and do that, and then you should be able to read it for free. And there are other ways that you can support me as an author too. You can request that your local bookstores carry it, your local Barnes & Noble, your local indies, whichever, both, I don't know. I will eventually be opening up applications for ARC readers to read early and review the book. And for people who really like my books, I will be setting up a street team eventually, probably before book 2. So pulling from the people that read book 1 and really enjoyed it and followed my newsletter, like putting out applications for the street team there, which would be people that just kind of help me a little bit more than just reading and reviewing, right? They help me get the word out and all of that and hype up the book and do all like the fun little like, I don't know, stuff that authors get to do on releases and stuff. If you're interested in any of that, my newsletter is absolutely the place to be. That's where I'll be sharing all of that information first. Okay, so tropes and themes. So while I don't think this is the best way to tell someone about my book, and if you don't like these or find them spoiler-y, just skip them. But this is for you, Chris, who hates them. It is a very popular marketing thing now to say things by tropes because a lot of people are looking for specific tropes to read. So we'll share them. But we have enemies to lovers, slow burn romance. Sure. Dangerous / magical beasts and a post-collapse world. Elemental magic. Fast-paced action. Infiltrating a dangerous organization / spy double agent. And also some of these just came from my beta readers and I was like, give me all the tropes, and yeah. Fierce female warrior, morally gray love interest, hot villain, love triangle with a question mark because it isn't really a love triangle, but it is a little bit ambiguous at first who the love interest is. It's complicated, but it's not like, this is not a Jacob and an Edward situation, I promise. Found family, reluctant heroine, outsider joining a new world, coming back home, Siberia-inspired setting, internal conflict and struggles, and then theme tropes, trust, sacrifice, trauma, pain, and resentment, friendship, healing, redemption, and belonging. There's some tropes. So yeah, if you think this sounds interesting, you can subscribe to my newsletter, where you can get the first 2 chapters through BookFunnel, so you can like have it put on your Kindle or whatever you want. And you can be the first to hear about future exciting book news and updates there. And when you pre-order, if you pre-order now, save your receipts and sign up for my newsletter, because at some point I'm going to have a pre-order campaign where I don't know what we're going to do yet, but save your receipts so that you can apply to that, and also so that I can know how my pre-orders are doing. Thanks. Yeah, I think that's everything I had to say. I'm really excited. I'm really overwhelmed. I'm kind of freaking out. It's a lot. Like seriously, it is a lot. And like the emotional journey of this has been insane. And the fact that once people start reading the first 2 chapters, not only is my book sort of available for public consumption, at least the first 2 chapters, but it's also available for like public ridicule or adoration. You know, it could be anything, who knows? So yeah, I don't know. But I love this book. I love writing this book. It comes from a place very deep in my heart, and also from a lot of my world building love and all of that. So I hope that, for those of you that enjoy this type of book, right? Because I know it's not for everyone, but I hope that, you enjoy it. And I hope you're excited, because I'm excited. I'm really freaking excited and scared and worried and overwhelmed. But it's gonna be good. I don't know yet what I'm gonna do to celebrate it coming out, or like the pre-order. I don't know yet. I'm thinking I kind of want to get the beasts, the Daki, tattooed on my arm. I feel like that'd be cool. The beasts and the puppy. Oh, I didn't even mention that. There's magical drugs, magic opium, sort of, in the book. There's gonna need to be some. There's gonna be some content warnings, which I don't think will surprise anyone at all. But yeah, I might get like a tattoo or something. I don't know. But yeah, hype, excitement, terror. I don't know. Comment, like, subscribe, follow my newsletter, pre-order my book. I don't know what to say anymore. I'm so awkward. Okay, bye. Thank you.